So today we're going to talk about identity, and it's very much a hot potato, isn't it? It's very much in the news, all different types of identity issues with the world. And so what I wanted to do is help us to explore how we can help our adopted children through the whole identity thing, as it were, if you want to call identity a word, a thing. And what I want to sort of say to you is I think identity is a much bigger issue. It's a much bigger thing in our children's lives. It can be, but it's not necessarily about gender, sexuality, race, culture, religion. Of course, all of those things make our identity. It's part of who we are, and it's part of who we choose to identify as. But for children especially, and for our adopted children, I think that we need to look at it a lot wider than that and understand it in a much deeper way. So when you think of yourself as an adult, you realise when you look back over your childhood that you have chosen to take parts of your past with you and leave parts of your past behind. And you choose to identify with some of those things, and some of those things you don't. So with your adopted children, as with anything, if we want to build resilience with them, then we have to get alongside them when it comes to this identity issue. And I think the most important thing for us to do is to give them a wide range of information to start with. So that's going to include being really open about their history, their birth family. You have to give them the information to help them to make informed choices about who they want to be. So information about their history, and right now help them to build the experiences that they want to build. I think about my children, my adult children. So my adopted boys are 11 and 12, but my adult children are adults, obviously. They sometimes come to me and say, do you remember when we did this? It was great fun. Do you remember when we did that? And I'm like, yeah, I remember that. And then they'll say things like, I can't believe you did this with us, and I can't believe you took us there and you dressed us like this. And you can see that they are throwing out the things that they don't want to be remembered by, they don't want to identify with, and keeping the precious and the fond memories that they really loved. So that's what our children are going to do. They're going to gradually grow up, and they're going to take with them all of the memories that they loved, all the things they loved, the routines they loved. They're going to think about their past in terms of what parts of my past and my birth family do I feel that I want to explore more? Do I feel that I want to be identified as? We can't choose for our children how they want to be identified. And this is where, as adults, I think we make some serious mistakes, especially when the media will be bombarding our children with certain subjects at certain times, and then they will go and new subjects will come. I think for us, we need to understand that children don't have the same concepts as we do. We have the power of reflection and looking back and thinking about who we are and what we want to be and where we want to go. Children don't have that to start with, so we have to help them to understand things in a deeper way. They will want to look back over those historical experiences, and they will want support to kind of choose what they want to take with them and who they want to be known as. Now, sometimes adopted children, I say this for my own boys, do not want to remember. They don't want to remember much about their birth history, but that might change. So as they get older, they might want to dig deeper into what that history really looks like. But sometimes children want to know everything, and they get to a point in their teenage lives where suddenly they want to push you away, and as an adopter you don't count anymore, and your experiences and memories that you're giving them doesn't hold anything for them anymore, because they really want to go deeper into who they believe they are from the birth family point of view. And that's when you see that tipping point, which is very sad for adopters, but nothing they can do about it, when their children actually want to seek out the life that the birth family had, and they need to explore that to see if that's who they really are or not, or that's not who they really are. So it's a case of, as with adults, children have to build resilience and an understanding of their inspirations, their aspirations, how they look, how they feel, how they connect with their peers, how they identify with the smaller community that they're in now and the world at large, where they fit into that. And the best thing that we can do for them is help them through that process. So their identity will not be necessarily about the key areas that we look at in the world today. It's going to be built from memories, experiences, friendships, environments, and their peer relationships, partly from the past, from now, and what they're going to do in the future. For many of us, including them, we choose to forget, we choose to remember, we choose to make comparisons with people, we choose to have desires, we have ambitions, and we have aspirations, and that is all part of our identity. And more importantly, that changes over a period of time. So if you have a young child now, the way they choose to have their identity will be so much wrapped up in your family life, because they don't have the concepts to look further out than that. But as they go through school and they go into teenage years, very much the influences from outside will come in upon them, and their understanding also that they've come from another family will grow. And so they will just be chucking things out all over the place that you've given them as their identity, and pulling different influences in. And a little bit like a puzzle, they'll be piecing together the picture that they want to make of themselves. That's the only way I can describe identity in its deepest form. It's the little bits of puzzle from all those experiences, past, present and future, that begin to make the person that they want to be, and that will also change. And this is why people say you never are not worrying about your children. That's so true. You're never not worrying about your children, because they can go through crises in their 20s, 30s of identity, where they suddenly aren't sure about some of the decisions they've made or who they really are. And as a parent, you're going to be there for them, where they're trying to kind of reattach themselves and pull themselves back together again. But resilience is built by allowing a child to do that, allowing them to pick and choose a little bit who they are as the years go by, and supporting them through that process. And we run into grave difficulties and troubles when we try to make them something or someone who they don't want to be. The flip side of this, of course, is it's got to be within that safety net. Now, I'm a very firm advocate for boundaries, because we really need them in our house with our adopted sons, and we didn't need them as much, if I'm honest with you, with our 5 previous birth children, because they perhaps didn't take so many risks. So boundaries have to be in place to help with resilience and to help with building identity. It's all part of the process. So you would let your child explore as much as you possibly can, but within reason. So you don't really want them to work out whether their identity at the age of 12 is to take drugs, because you don't want them to get into something that they can't shake off if they want to later. So it's always got to be within that safety net, and there's always got to be guidance there. And children do not have the concepts that we have, so there has to be a great amount of explanation for them to understand certain concepts and why people do certain things. You wouldn't want them to go into a situation that they don't fully understand. You wouldn't want them to have sexual experiences before you believe they're mature enough and ready. Well, they may think they are, or their peers may think they are, and that's a tussle that you're going to have to make with them as to when they are ready for that. And so that's the safety net that you're putting around them, particularly when it comes to the world influences on them and the web and what they can access very easily through all of their devices. That has to be part of the protective factor that allows them to build the resilience through their identity. Whilst certain things blow up in the media, and whilst certain people have real issues about them, and certain people struggle with their identity and they want to be known as a certain person, and that's important. It's important for people to have rights and be able to speak out. it's also important for your child to be able to develop at the pace that a child will develop at, and to have the understandings around identity which more matter for them at the time of their stage and age of development, and not to bombard them with the media and aspects in the media which right now are probably not the important things for them. What's important for them is their daily experiences and building up memories and resilience and beginning to understand who they are. Hope that helps you guys. If it does, please subscribe, and I have lots of playlists on my channel about attachment and bonding, therapeutic parenting, general parenting and adoption process. It's all on there. So see you on my channel.